Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the photographic competition this evening. So welcome to everybody who's here at the university. It's nice to see a good number, possibly some photographers out there, I think. And we've also got a good number, as you can see, on Zoom, so that's excellent. As usual, those of you who are watching from home, if you get any sound problems or any problems with the setup, Elaine is hosting tonight, and please feel free to put something in the chat, and she should notice that and respond. And we'd be grateful if you could stay muted until we get to the point where we're asking for recent sightings or for applause, of course, at the end. Now, one thing I've failed to do over the last few meetings is to welcome new members. You can tell I'm new to the job of being chair. I've completely forgotten, to be brutally honest, until I was gently reminded. So I'd like to welcome the new members we've had this year, who are Brian Hutchings, Mr. and Mrs. Kirkwood, Jodie Wells, David Hamlet, and Emma Lockley. You're very welcome. We're great to have you join the club. If any of you are here tonight on Zoom, welcome, great to meet you, and I hope you enjoy being a member of the club. A few announcements before we get on to the rest of the evening. Our next and sadly last meeting, indoor meeting of the season, will be in 2 weeks' time here, and that's Birds and Wildlife of Sri Lanka by Jonathan Forgham. And the next outdoor meetings before then are on next Wednesday, the 22nd of March, when Colin will be leading a trip to the London Wetland Centre in Barnes in London. Then on the Saturday after that, 25th, Peter Driver will be leading the first of the introduction to birdwatching courses, birdwatching trips that we're introducing. If anybody wants to pick up a leaflet about those, there's a pile down here. But the first one will be on the 25th of March to Padworth Lane, Gravel Pit. And then the next one after that is on Monday, the 27th of March, when Bob Lyle will be going to Poole Harbour. And Bob will have a quick word now, if you like, about the Kent weekend. He'd like to persuade people to go on.
Well, good evening. Just to say, I'm leading a weekend to Kent in the middle of May, 19th to 21st of May. Kent is an excellent county for birdwatching. We'll be going to the east of Kent, based in Ashford, which will be a good central base for lots of good places like Dungeness, Stodmarsh, Sandwich Bay, Worth Marshes. At that time of year, nightingales will be in. There's a reasonable chance of turtle doves, but there'll be lots of birds on passage, and there'll be birds that we can't really predict at this stage. At Stodmarsh, vast reed beds there with all the warblers, bearded tits, marsh harriers. So hope you'll be interested in coming. Do let me know by Friday. I'm sort of setting a cut-off date for this Friday for anyone who's interested. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Right, that's our upcoming meetings in the BOC. Those of you who've been to recent meetings will know that we've also been announcing, I should say, the meetings of other groups. So coming up in the next few weeks, the RSPB Wokingham and Bracknell group, their next indoor meeting is on Thursday the 13th of April, which is Bird Watching in the Dark. Sounds interesting, by Graham Giddens at Finch Hampstead. And their next field trip is on Wednesday, the 22nd of March, when they're going to Tice's Meadow in Surrey. And then there's RSPB Reading local group. The next indoor meeting is on Tuesday, the 11th of April, From Art to Zoology, A Story of Evolution, by Katrina Van Grauw. I'm not sure actually if that's how you pronounce her surname, but Pangbourne. Their next field trip's on Sunday, the 19th of March, when they're going to Moor Green Lakes, and Tuesday, the 21st of March, when they're going to RSPB Otmore. I should have said, by the way, if anybody wants any more details of any of these, I've got all the contact details. Come and see me in the break. Or you can see Jeremy about the RSPB one. And while that reminds me, the RSPB Reading newsletter, some of you picked up copies last last meeting. There's some spares down here if anybody would like a copy this time. Right, one other organisation to mention, that's NDOC. Their next indoor meeting is on Thursday, the 30th of March, Borneo and Guyana, from Tom Mabbitt of Nature Trek in Greenham. And their outdoor meeting, the next one, is on the 25th of March when they're going to bow downwards. So that's all the announcements I have to make. Does anybody else have any announcements, anything they want to pass on?
Can I just
by all means.
Yeah, can I just mention, I'm down to lead this trip to London Wetlands Centre. Only one person has shown interest in it so far. Some people, I think, are probably put off by the fact that they've got to go into the congestion charge, and they don't like driving into the congestion charge. I've got 3 spaces in my vehicle. I'm quite happy to give people a lift if they want to go along. It's a good place to go for a day. It's very nice, got a nice cafe, and even if the weather's not so good. So just give me a ring or contact me, and we'll see if I can arrange a lift for you. Okay. Thanks,
Colin. I can endorse that. It's one of my favourite places, and it's not that scary getting there, really.
No, absolutely.
No, it's well worth a visit. Right, one last thing to look at before we get on to the competition. Recent sightings. What's everybody been seeing? Anything exciting out there, or just enjoyable?
I had a wheat ear today, first of the year for me.
Excellent. That was Andy saying he's got a wheat ear today, the first of the year. Where was that?
Bushmore Bottom.
Bushmore Bottom. Excellent. What else is around?
Lots of soldiers.
With lots of soldiers for you on Zoom. I hope they don't scare the wheat ear off. Rob?
Oyster catchers, red shanker, drumming plover at Moor Green Lakes.
Oyster catcher, red shanker, and little ring plover at Moor Green Lakes. Yeah, I've noticed there's lots of oyster catchers been coming back. Good to see them back. I'll phone one of my own. We were at Hurst Green GP this morning with 8 goldeneye, which is rather nice. 3 displaying males and 5 females. Any other recent sightings to share?
Kitty Wake at Field Main Pit 4 or 5 days ago. I can't remember exactly.
That's Kitty Wake at Field Main Pit 4 or 5 days ago. Yeah.
It's a miserable, drizzly morning. Classic. Sort of like that.
On a miserable morning. We know how to enjoy ourselves, don't we? Okay. Anybody on Zoom got any sightings? No, there's no hands going up now, a few shaking heads. Okay, right, let's move on to the main point of this evening. This is always one of the highlights of the BOC year for me. I really enjoy the photography and the photo competition. I'll just start with brief introductions and then pass you over to Colin, who will be organising it for this evening. Firstly, thank you to Jane for organising it. We've done a lot of sterling work to get to here tonight. We've got 2 judges. Andy Sand, you can see Sand's on the Zoom. Those of you who were here for his talk last March on the natural history of Upper Teesdale will, I'm sure, remember the fabulous photographs. Absolutely wonderful. I mean, it was a really good talk as well, but the photographs were just brilliant. He's been a wildlife photographer for over 30 years, so bringing a lot of experience this evening. Colin, a bit closer to home. Been a BOC member, he tells me, for 34 years, so quite a few years. Past chair, and soon he's been on the committee as well for the.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh yes. And he used to organise this competition for many years, didn't he? Yeah. And he's judged in the past. And a big thank you to him tonight. Rob still was due to be judging, but unable to join us this evening, and so Colin stood in at fairly last minute. So it's been great. Right, I'm just going to share the screen, and then I'll pass you over to Colin, and I can sit down and let me do something about that. Shall we try it like that with just a...
Sure.
Yeah, I could go down to this one person.
I thought you had, what about the next one across?
That's that one.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. So there's going to be a variety of faces.
Actually, that's no good. We'll have to go for one because it's covering up the arrow, isn't it?
Oh, right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Is that a bit too dark?
yeah, normally you go for the button above that one.
I just randomly pressed one. Sorry. That's the one.
No, no.
That's the one. No. Oh, were you on that one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's darker than. Oh, okay. I just put it wrong. That's all right. Don't worry. I'll do your clip
Right.
for you.
Yeah,
Just
thanks.
Take it away, Colin.
So we seem to set this up differently every year, really, or different bit of technology. So it's operating out of Dropbox tonight instead of what?
And last year.
Yeah. Oh, was it done? Okay. I didn't notice. So yeah, the way the competition runs, we've got 3 categories. And Andy and I have had to sift through all these at some length to try and find some that we, some finalists, if you like, that we need to judge. And so sadly, there are quite a lot that we won't be able to include in the final judging. So Jane now is running through some of these excellent images. But sadly, we can't talk about them all because we'd be here all night. So just to give you an idea, we had approximately 110 entries into the portrait section, 80 into the flight and action, and 75 into the birds of Berkshire. So you can see 250 odd photographs, which is way more than we can obviously talk about. So some of these are brilliant photos. Andy, I don't know whether you want to step in and say anything about why we were unable to include some?
Well, I mean, much the same as you really, Colin, just the sheer volume of them. A lot of good images, as you say, but we had to whittle them down to a smaller number to talk about. So yeah, but that's it really. There was not a lot else to do, was there? You can't talk about 250 pictures, however much you'd love to, be here all night.
Yeah. So in some cases, it may be that there's just a little soft area on the image, you know, where it's out of focus, or an eye without a highlight, or it might be that part of the bird was in focus and part wasn't, or it might be even the background, that sometimes the background is the reason why you haven't got a perfect photo. Yeah. And I've always said that a lot of it is down to luck as well, that when you catch that bird and that perfect image, that you also have all the leaves in the right places and all the lichen is showing exactly in the right place and so on. And that's the difference between, you know, the perfect image and the one that doesn't quite make it.
Yep.
So, and I mean, these are great pictures of some really good birds. And, you know, many of us, I mean, many people, I'm sure, would be very proud of taking these photographs. I forgot to mention, actually, that I ringed a firecrest in my garden last week. So it's the 6th one I've caught in my garden. But sadly, it's in Surrey, not in Berkshire.
A nice capture for the garden, though, Colin.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you came to my garden in Hertfordshire, you could get 4 male blackcaps at the moment, who are present every day.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, isn't it? Trying to remember how many there were in this. Oh, we're of course, this is the, so these are the portraits, flight and action, and birds of Berkshire, yeah. The ones that we had to separate.
It's nice to look at them again, because as you say, Colin, there's some good images. It was a difficult choice narrowing them down, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And we had our share of disagreements.
1 or 2.
And there are certainly some exotic birds tonight in the that you're going to see. Some wonderful exotic images. Some birds I've actually forgotten the names of. I did bring a piece of paper to remind me. So it's a very big entry this year. We don't always get this many entries. And one of the difficult things to judge is to limit the number of photos that people can enter into each section. And we've been in the past as low as you can only put 3 in. And I think this year we said you can put 5 in. So hence, you know, if you get a lot of people interested in one year, you end up with an awful lot of entries. And again, one thing we always say is, if you fail this year, there's no reason why you can't put the ones you like best in again next year, because you may well find you get a different judge next year. So I love that. It's brilliant.
That's made the finalist group the last 2 years.
Yeah, it has. Yeah.
Nice.
So you can see the standard of the pictures. We accept ugly birds as well. That's the easiest way to photograph a hummingbird, isn't it? When it's perched. Try catching when they're flying. One of the most picturesque birds of all, isn't it? Mandarin. There are a lot of entries of mandarins this year.
Attractive duck.
Sorry?
Attractive duck, so
Yeah.
can't help but photograph them.
No.
Yeah.
They're very photogenic as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
When it's there's bitterns at Dinton Pastures now, aren't there? I think regularly. At Lavelles or Dinton, somewhere around that one.
There have been.
Is your finger aching?
Yeah. I'm only doing it for the first group to do the rest himself.
And quite a few Firecrest photos this year as well.
Yeah, popular bird this year, isn't it?
I don't think that was a Berkshire bird. So sometimes you can't see on the big screen, as you people at home would be able to see these a lot better. But some of these photographs have got the detail of every feather on the bird in, you know, and when you can look closely at them on the screen, it's so impressive. I mean, I'm being, as I'm not a photographer, I don't know how much of this is camera, the quality of the camera, and how much is photographer skill. But obviously it's a combination of the whole lot. But the photos that we're seeing nowadays are just so good.
Well, the modern cameras, Colin, will capture detail and colour very well, and capture action much better than you could in the days of film. But of course, it is down to the photographer to catch the moment. So the skill is still there of the photographer. One of the things that amuses me most is virtually every time I give a talk, whether it's on birds or natural history generally, or very tiny subjects that I do a lot of, the first question at the end of the evening is always, what camera have you got?
Yeah.
It must be the camera that took the picture, you know. So.
Oh, wow.
Well, of course, last year's winner was the Carrion Crow. Do you remember? Wasn't it? Was it last year? It was.
Last year was the blackbird in the vein. It's the crow, I think.
The crow the year before, yeah. So what we've done, we've got it down to about 20 in each section to judge, or around about 20. And removing some of these was just very painful.
It was. Yeah.
We'll be there soon.
I can't see on
Honest.
here how many there are left.
No.
120 to go.
Always, that's a Sabine skull, isn't it? I always think the best view of those is when their wings are open because they're so distinctive. That was like the one in my garden.
Is that it?
Is that it?
I think so. I don't know.
Yes. Okay, well, thank you to everybody who entered those. As I said, it's very difficult and
Oh, that's got
challenging.
I don't know what I do about that. Oh, yes, that's what it's paid this time.
Hmm?
That's not opened it in the right.
That didn't happen last time, did it?
No.
Chat's not showing in Zoom.
Come on, Sally,
Well,
sort it.
I'm sure I can. I'm
Can
concerned.
we get back into?
Why did that
Close
happen?
it. Can you just do view and view in this? I
Okay.
don't really want people to see anything yet.
Go back into the image, the very bottom right was a magnifying slider.
Bottom
Yeah.
right, what?
Is that it? No, sorry.
Go back into the image.
Go to edge. Oh, okay, get into edge.
There we are. No, is that the,
That was what we were showing you, but I don't know how to get to the others from there.
Go back. There's a little back button.
Okay.
Just there. Yep, that's it.
And then we're going to
Oh, portrait.
Portrait
Oh,
fine,
okay,
yes.
okay, yeah. And then stop, double click on that one. There you go.
Yeah.
and let me go back up to full, hang on,
Yeah.
just,
Lucky I turned up.
It is.
it is, thank you. Do you want me to move that out of the way?
If you can.
I think I can at least,
It's only so that we might be able to see what,
there you are.
The
that's
bird
better, isn't it?
is.
Is that better?
but I think we would have guessed that one.
No, surely not, Colin. Thank you.
You're
Andy.
right, thank you. So this is the portrait section and of which I think it was exactly 20 birds we chose.
Yeah.
Shall I kick this one off, Andy?
Yes, go on. You go.
So yeah, I mean, we have to give our common birds a good chance, don't we, in these competitions, but this was just strikingly attractive. Again, it's one where you can see the detail of every feather and catching it on the branch there with the frost is it makes a beautiful composition. So I scored this 5.
Yeah, I concur with Colin on this. It's a lovely detail, fabulous feather detail, and the hoarfrost sort of adds to the picture. And the hoarfrost in the background, the sort of very pale background, gives a very sort of harmonious background with no distractions, so that the focus is right on the bird. I also scored this 5.
Right, so you can start with this one, Andy.
Okay, yeah, another nice image. I liked the portrait format, and again, there's very good detail in the sort of feathers and a nice highlight in the eye. You come up to the bird and focus on the sort of sharp areas in the bird. The background's nicely diffused, and I was a little bit disgruntled by the sort of log of the perch it's sitting on. It's a bit distracting, a little bit bright at the bottom there. So I scored this one a 4.
Yeah, I agree. I did like the picture of the bird a lot. Again, there's good feather detail in it, but it is the perch really that just tends to let it down a bit. So that's a 4 from me as well. Right, so yeah, this is a really nice image of a bar-tailed godwit, and anyone that's heard the judging before would have heard about the way that generally having a bird looking into the picture slightly is always the best way to see it, and that one is lovely and clear. For me, the thing that I didn't like too much was the actual ground at the bottom. I felt that was it just spoilt the picture a bit. The sand or the mud at the bottom of the picture. So I scored that 4.
Yeah, similar comments and thoughts. It's a lovely image, nice lighting and nice detail on the bird, but yeah, that strip of out of focus, I assume it's mud in the foreground, is distracting. You know, for future reference, you could crop that out and sort of letterbox the image. You'd still have the bird, the space in front of the bird, but just take that distraction out of the image and take a similar amount from the top and the bottom to letterbox it would improve it. But I liked it. I went 4.5 on that one, so I quite liked it.
Right, red rump swallow.
Yep.
Again, nice image. Sorry, you should be starting this one, shouldn't you?
You started, Colin. Go on, you started, so you can finish.
Well, it's a nice image. The simple point for me was, what a shame about the perch. Always, I'm never very keen, you know, when they're on barbed wire or on their telephone wire or on some man-made item, or something as plain as that, and so it spoils it a bit for me. But apart from that, there's nothing wrong at all with the image of the bird. So that was a 4.
Yeah, nice images, a good detail. I'm not so fussed about the perch being man-made. I mean, that's what these birds often perch on. I like the blue background. The blue sky can often look a bit oversaturated and artificial. It's a little bit sort of central in the frame, but it's a good, competent image. So I scored that 4 as well.
Okay, after you, Andy.
Yeah, so yeah, nice portrait of a bearded tit. I liked the cropping of this. I liked the bird being slightly small in the frame and the reeds around, which shows good habitat, and none of the reeds are really sort of distracting from the image. It puts the bird in a fairly strong position in the frame on a sort of third. I don't, you know, I'm not fussed by a couple of reeds just in front of the bird either. That's the nature of the beast with bearded tits. I felt it was maybe just a little bit oversaturated for my liking. I think the head of the bird just looks a little bit too oversaturated to me, but it's a good, competent image, and I gave this one a 4.5 as well.
Yeah, and I think I felt exactly the same. You know, the colour just didn't seem quite right on it. Just a tiny bit too bright, but it is a nice image, and it would be very disappointing to have a bearded tit that wasn't in amongst the reeds. So I gave that 4.5 as well. Right, what is it? An orange-headed ground thrush.
Yep.
Yeah. And a nice picture of it. Never seen one before in my life. Wouldn't even know where to go to find one of these, but it's a pretty bird. Yeah, I think the only thing the thing I most felt detracted from it was that top right-hand corner. I don't know whether it was a road, a path, or just something in the distance, but it just is, I found a bit too distracting. I thought that it was also just a bit too close to the bottom of the frame. So that was 4.5.
Yeah, so similar things. The lighting on the bird and the detail in the bird is superb. Really nice light in the eye. Really looks alive. I also felt it was a little bit tight to the bottom of the frame, almost touching the bottom of the frame. So a little bit more space at the base. But the thing that distracted me most was the sort of bright highlight bit of out of focus vegetation, which sort of just clips through the beak. I find that my eye goes to that as the sort of brightest area of the picture, when I should be holding my concentration on the bird. And it's difficult. I know that, you know, it's there and you can't do a lot about it, but it just detracts a bit from the picture. So I scored this one a 4.
Have I scored that one?
Yeah.
Right, Andy.
Oh, the Great Northern Diver, yeah. Nice image, and nice the photographers sort of got down on a level with it. So you've got that sort of bird's eye view of the Great Northern Diver. It's a nice image. I like the sharpness. I like the position in the frame with the head turned to the side. Could argue a little bit more space on the left of the image as we look at it, so that it had more space to look into. And I felt this one was, the color just wasn't quite right. It was a little bit too blue, not just the water and the reflections, but the blacks on the bird seem to be sort of showing up a little bit too blue for my liking. It's a shame, because otherwise a nice image. So I scored this one 4.
Yeah, so I admit this captured my attention immediately when I looked at it. You know, I mean, I sometimes judge these photos in my mind as to whether or not I would like a picture of that on my study wall or something like that. And this would be something I would love to see when I walk through the door every time. And so, you know, notwithstanding what Andy says from a photographer's point of view, I would have given this I'm giving it a 5.
It's a nice image.
Yeah. Right, and this is a nice image as well. It's again, all that feather detail is lovely, and it's attractive. It's probably I think it's probably right to be in the centre of the frame from my perspective. I think it would have been quite nice to, if it had been possible, to get the whole of the reflection in as well. Maybe, you know, if only there was a bit more bright water behind it instead of that dull area, but it's really nice. But I'll give it a 4.
Yeah, a nice image, nice shape to the swan, and you see them doing this occasionally. I, as a photographer, would have immediately tried to flip the camera into the sort of portrait format to, as Colin suggested, include the entire reflection in the image. There's space at the sides that isn't doing a lot, and a slight tilt down of the camera or a portrait image would have included that reflection. I always feel it's a little bit bright as well. There's only a few very true blacks in there, and a little less exposure would have brought out more dramatic sort of detail in the white areas and the feather detail. But it is a nice image, so I think I'll go 4 on that one as well. Yep, curlew sandpiper, nice little bird, and one you don't see that often around the coast. And the photographers caught this rather well. It's got some sort of action and about it. It's sort of lurching forward and stepping forward, and as such, the photographers used a fast shutter speed, frozen the action, and there's nice detail in the bird. It's a little bit small in the frame. I do like the fact that we've got habitat around it and we can see the habitat, but the habitat isn't offering a lot to us. So I think a slightly tighter crop and the detail that's there would easily afford a tighter crop. But I do like it. It's a nice image of a pretty little bird. 4.5.
Yes, I agree with that entirely. I mean, it's lovely, and I like that it's a small bird, so it's not too big in the frame. 4.5, yeah. Right, yeah. Well, this talking about gannets being picturesque, you know, it's they do make great pictures. The colours and everything. It's nice, this image that is not just smack in the middle. Had it been smack in the middle, I think it would have taken something away from it. But everything is perfectly sharp, and it's a lovely portrait. So I gave this 5.
Yeah, I fully concur with what you're saying on that one, Colin. It's a lovely image, and as you say, the off-center composition works very well. The negative space to the left of the image as we look at it is excellent. I particularly like the fact that the birds got its head right up, beak right up in the air, but the eyes seem to be sort of tilting down towards us, and wherever you look in the image, it sort of makes eye contact with you. I also like this image a lot and scored it 5.
Right, your turn.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Yep.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was taking a sip of water. Yeah, an exotic bird. I don't think this one would have been in the birds of Berkshire section, for certainly. You know, I can't. It's a I can't remember what it's called, and I can't read the writing on my screen because it's about
Quetzal.
3-point
Quetzal.
Quetzal. That's it. I knew it was something along those lines. Yeah, very very pleasant bird, isn't it? Remarkable tail feathers, remarkable colours and detail, and a bird that you were probably delighted to photograph. It's photographically, the details there in the bird, the exposure is good on the bird, the perch is nice. The background, unfortunately, is the distraction for me. A lot of bright sunlight catching the vegetation in the background, and I understand exactly what it's like. I was in the jungles in Mexico last year and had exactly the same problems with bright vegetation in the background. And that does detract from the image, the background brightness. But it's an attractive bird, so I'm going to give it 4.
Yeah, so this, I have to say, actually, this was one of my real favourites. And if you get really close in on this image, every feather is perfect. It's now I know exactly what Andy's saying about the background, but in a way I thought that it was rather nice. It's it's quite pretty having that mixture of colour and shapes in the background. Yeah, so I gave this 5. Right, so yeah, reed bunting. I know the little bit of photography that I've done. I've never been able to get the catchlight in the eye of a reed bunting. They always seem to have really dull eyes. But I know nowadays with what you can do with certain packages, you can always resolve problems like that. This is a really nice image. I quite like the perch. I like the position in the frame. I think it's probably only the background that's possibly a little bit disappointing on it. I gave it 4.5.
Yeah, as Colin says, a nice portrait of a reed bunting and a lovely bird. I photographed them myself on several occasions. I quite like the background. It's non-distracting, but I can see some sort of out of focus vegetation, or what looks like out of focus vegetation. So it's not too plain a background. For me, the perch was a little on the heavy side compared to the bird. I would have liked a sort of thinner perch. From my perspective on photographing reed bunting, if you put a thinner perch up that's higher than the perch it's on, it'll almost certainly sit on it. Most times it comes back. So that's what I would have done. But it's a lovely image, and as Colin says, the lighting and the highlight in the eye is particularly good. So I'd go 4.5 as well. Yep, nice image of a heron, and this one struck me and was particularly interesting from the point of view that it's different. You've got that sort of almost spotlight effect. It looks like it's sort of nighttime shot and it's illuminated with a torch or a spotlight. I think at the beginning there was some talk about a talk about bird watching at night. Maybe this is one of those pictures, but it's certainly different. I like the reflection. I like the sort of spotlight effect, whether it is a spotlight effect or a sort of heavy vignette in post-processing is neither here nor there. It's a different image, and I liked it. 4.5.
Yeah, I can't add to that really. When I first looked at it, I wondered how the picture had been taken and whether or not somehow artificially we've got the darkness around it rather than the artificial lighting, but it does make a really nice picture. That's 4.5, yeah, 4.5. Right, this one, I'd never heard of a tree pie, a rufous tree pie. Doesn't look very rufous to me, really, but yeah, I love this picture, and I like the brambly, the sharp thorns, the perch, and I suppose it's partly down to the colour of the bird as well, but its position again looks really nice, and it is looking into the picture. Yeah, I gave this 5.
Yeah, I agree with Colin. It's a lovely image. Yeah, the bushes on it, possibly acacia or whatever it is, the spiky bushes on frames the bird particularly well, and the lighting really good on the bird, really good detail in the feathers, really beautiful sort of warm light on the bird itself, and the exposure has been handled very well. There's good detail in the sort of dark shadow areas, and you haven't lost detail on the very bright bush, which would have been quite easy to do. So I also gave this a 5. Yep, spotted flycatcher, beautiful little bird, and one that I used to see regularly around my way, but sadly have disappeared. Probably haven't seen one for nearly 10 years now, but I see lots of them when I go up to Teesdale still. They seem to be very common in the north. Beautiful bird, comes back to the favourite perch like this with an insect in its beak, time and time again. I like the sort of hoverfly held in the beak. It's a flycatcher with a fly, but I felt the picture was a little bit overworked, a little bit too bright almost. The background particularly appeared to have been brightened too much, and as such there's a few sort of halos and things starting to appear around the fly's wings and the bird itself, which is a real shame, because the quality sort of falls off a bit because of that. So I went 3.5 on this one.
Yeah, I think I probably liked it more because I'm not sufficiently expert as a photographer, and so I tend to take the image more at face value. So I scored this at 4.5.
Yeah,
it's lovely to see that the insect, how clearly it has caught it. Now this one, yeah, the problem with this one is that you don't know whether to be distracted by the sheer colour of it, and it's such a lovely, brilliant colour. But I think there are parts of it that aren't absolutely sharp. I love the drop of water there. Look how perfect that is. The difficulty always is how much competition they're up against, and so I made this 4.5.
Yeah, I agree. It's a lovely image, and the because of the lighting, the way the background's been thrown into a sort of dark shadow, the bird really stands out, and the red really sort of pops color wise. The drip of water is very nice, just dripping down off the beak and in a lovely position in the frame. I quite like what the author's done with the sort of half faded out border effect around the edge of the picture. I know it doesn't sort of affect the picture, but it's an interesting effect that sort of adds something to it. But yeah, 4.5 as well. Yep, this is a little owl picture that came up, and it's a little owl that's little in the frame, isn't it? Which is sort of apt for the owl. This one I just feel was a little bit too distant for me. I feel like I want a slightly closer crop. The log or the tree stump it's on is much bigger and more overpowering than the bird, and although the colour in the little owl's eye draws you into the eye, I very quickly find myself looking at the textures and details in the tree stump, and then I get pulled into the background where there's a sort of outer focus white blob in the top right, and what looks like the trunk of an old tree, an ancient tree in the top left of the image, and I feel that my attention should be held on the bird itself. So I would have felt a tighter crop would have worked better on this one for me. A 3.5, 3.5.
Yeah, well, I think I agree with most of those comments. Had it been a bit closer in, it would have removed some of those distractions. I love the stump actually. I did think the tree stump was one of the not really nice things about this image. So I gave it 4.5.
It is a beautiful tree stump, but it's a bird photography
Yeah,
competition.
it's supposed to be bird photography.
That's what I thought anyway. So yeah, your turn.
Right, a Javan banded pitter. Well, I've never seen one until now, but I just think this is a fantastic photo, and there is it shows it in its habitat very nicely without it being too blurred in the background. It's a nice perch that it's standing on, and every detail of that bird is perfect and perfectly clear. So I gave this 5.
Yeah, I totally agree on most of what you said there, Colin. And just remembering back to the image of the Quetzal in a similar sort of jungle habitat, the background on this one, because of the more muted light, is far less distracting, but does give us a good idea of the habitat. And the bird, the lighting on the bird, beautiful. The colour really pops out against the sort of muted background colours. Great light in the eye, and I also like this a lot and gave it a 5.
So I think
2 more.
Oh, we've got 2 more.
Yep.
Okay.
Wheatear was the first one, which I'm sure you will absolutely love the barbed wire fence it's sitting on, Colin. But, I can preempt what you're going to say, but and a picture of a wheatear, a female wheatear, attractive bird. Obviously, a lot of people show the male because it's got bolder colours, but I like this. It's a great image, nice in the frame. I like the sort of position of the bird, the sort of upright, proud perch, and the background nicely out of focus. And it doesn't make a lot of difference to the picture, but I like the fact the background is dark at the top and sort of graduates nicely towards the bottom of the image, so that the bird stands out very well. I gave this a 4.5.
Well, Andy knew what I was going to say. I'm not keen on barbed wire really, but I guess you could. In some instances, it might be the only way you can photograph certain birds, but it just takes a little away from it. So for 4.5, I think, from me. Yeah, and this is well, it's fantastic, isn't it? What a lovely picture. I guess wherever you see these burrowing owls, you're going to get a nice, lots of nice, interesting images. But I suppose, you might feel the one on the right ought to be looking at you like all the others do. But in a way, it adds a little bit of interest to the group, I think. And the only place to put all of that is in the middle of the frame, and it's great. It shows all the ground and the grasses and the burrow. Nice background. So I gave this 5.
Yeah, similar comments. Really lovely image. The photographers got down low and photographed sort of almost on a level with the birds, and all those yellow eyes really grab the attention and hold your attention on the birds. There's no distractions in the background. I don't know where it was taken, but reminds me of a long lost trip from about 25-30 years ago that I did to the island of Lesbos, where we saw these, and they're beautiful little birds. And I also gave this a 5.
Okay, so what do I do next?
I don't know, whatever you did last time.
Click the little X at the top right, and then go back on the back button.
What do I have to do?
The little back button, that's the one.
Right, and then what's that going on? Right, you've got to speed up as well.
Oh, right, okay, thank you. Speed up.
Going too slow.
So now I can't set this to keep running, can I?
No,
I'm going to have to
click through
right.
quickly.
I'm going to sit down and do this then. So yeah, Andy and I now have to choose a a winner and runner-up from this. So I will, first of all, I will flick through the images and would much prefer that somebody else had to do this.
It's difficult.
So what do you think about the top two? Can you
My favourite two are the gannet and the rufous tree pie. That one.
right?
And that one, personally, unless you're going to disagree.
Well, no, I mean, I suppose I would discount this one because it's a small bird and it probably looks a little bit too big in the frame. So that's it's a shame, but
3 seconds.
3 seconds. Well, I think I would go for this as my favourite.
Yeah.
And as the winner. Would you agree with that, Andy?
I think I'd agree with that. I think it's a lovely image of a really interesting bird. So yeah, I'll go with that. So,
and we make the gannet second?
I would, yeah. I think the gannet's a lovely image as well, and a different image of the gannet. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's run up. Okay, so we will present later on because we don't know who the photographers are and we don't want to give them away at this.
I need to do left arrow.
A minute, it's gone dead on me. Do something. Left arrow.
Flight in action.
Yeah. I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got to be quicker.
Okay, we've got to be quicker, Andy.
Okay, you start.
It's all your fault. Okay. So yeah, I think any image of a swift is a good image, frankly, because they must be difficult to photograph. This one's lovely. It catches the bird nicely. I like the angle across the frame, and again, it's very clear. So I would give that 4.
Yeah, I think a very, very good image. I felt the sky was a little bit too sort of intense and uniform on the blue, but it's an excellent capture and a difficult capture. I gave it a 4. Yeah, nice image of a barn owl. Always nice to see a barn owl quartering over a sort of reed bed, and the reeds in the bottom. I like the fact the barn owl's separated against the darker background at the top. I felt that just lacking in quality a little bit in sort of sharpness and quality, but it was a nice image and a good action shot. A 4.
Yeah, I can't add to that, so I would give that a 4 as well. Now this, what I was saying about hummingbirds earlier, but the bee hummingbird, and I mean, for such a tiny bird, and to have every feather detail like that, so perfect. I think, and normally you'd never catch the wing, would you? Because the wings are just too fast. So I gave this a 5.
Yeah, I concur. A great image of a very small bird, and assumably lit with a sort of fairly high-speed flash or short duration flash to freeze the action on the wing. But an excellent image. Yeah, I like it a lot. And you know, I went to Tring Zoological Museum recently. You have a collection of stuffed hummingbirds, and when you see how big a bee hummingbird is, this is all the more impressive. So definitely a 5. Yeah, nice image of a fairly large flock of avocet flying across the frame. The photographer's done well to letterbox the image and to keep just the birds in the frame, not have too much space either side. The problem with flocks of birds like this is it's always a shame when ones get cut in half at either end of the frame, and that sort of detracts. I know it's very difficult, but if you can get a crop or an image without cutting birds in half, it works better. It's a nice image, a 4.
Yeah, I liked it a bit more, so I gave it 4.5. Now this one is a common tern, and I mean it's it's an incredibly sharp image, and the drops of water are captured so nicely and so perfectly sharp, and it's a lovely lake. The colour of the water is really nice. It's a really good image, so I've given that a 5.
Yeah, very similar comments. Excellent image, really good capture, really sharp. I like the reflection and the sort of shape it makes of the wings in the water, and I also scored this 5. Yeah, a white throat taking off, or assumably flying through vegetation, but it has the appearance to me of just sort of taking off from the vegetation, long grass. It's a nice image. It's a good capture. Good to get the wings in that position are nice and sharp. I felt that overall it was a little bit bright, the image, and could do with just toning back a little bit less exposure, but an excellent image, and 4.5.
Yeah, again, to my it's just not quite as an attractive image as many of the others. It looks incredibly clever to me to catch a bird in like this with all that detail. 4.5. And a really nice image of a cormorant in the right bang in the centre, which I think is the right place for it to be. It's just a shame it couldn't be on one of those nice blue lakes, really, isn't it? It's got quite a nice reflection as well. So I've given that 4.5. Yeah,
nice image, much the same. I like the fact that it's sort of coming straight towards us, wings out, and the splash of water underneath it. I felt that also the water doesn't really add much to the picture, so I personally would have had less of it and cropped in tighter. A crop similar to the common term would have worked much better with this image, so I scored it 4. Yeah, another shot of a cormorant. This one, from the other side. Obviously, the photographer was there on the same day and was just a different side of the lake. But there's the bird run along, just taking off, beautifully captured with the wings out. Really nice, sharp detail. Like the sort of splash coming off the back of it. Bit muted, a bit of a dull day, and the dull reflection on the lake. But it's all in keeping, and there's no distractions. I quite like this 4.5.
Yeah, well, I agree on all that, and the same score. I like this one a lot as well, and it's a strange bird, really, the glossy ibis. When you see them on the ground, usually they look really quite dark, and you just see some nice shiny bits on them. But when you see a picture like this, you see just how much colour there is in them. This is a nice bright image, and against a very nice sky, so I gave this 4.5. I think probably it should have been slightly to the left and flying into the picture more.
Yeah, I think I agree, just a little bit central, but other than that, not a lot else I can say. A great image with good light and a good capture, and somehow the bird looks more elegant than they do when on the ground in this particular species. I'll go 4.5 as well. It's a lovely picture. A cuckoo, probably. Well, I'm not going to guess, but it looks like Colin the cuckoo, the famous cuckoo that's been turning up at Thursley Common in recent years. But it's a nice image of a cuckoo in flight. It's sort of low to the ground, and as such, the photographer's got an angle that you wouldn't normally expect to see, looking almost sort of down onto the top of the wings. It's beautifully sharp. The head's turned slightly towards us, and it is a good capture. 4.5.
Well, if it is Colin the cuckoo, I will score it 5, really, didn't I? But I've never seen this, even though it's not far from where I live. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lovely picture, actually. I admit that I'm always a little bit disappointed when I think some of these images are staged, but I know, they're perfectly natural images of these birds going to a prepared perch, etc. But this is, I mean, it is a lovely image. And again, I scored this 4.5. And this is a cracking image of a heron as well. And the beauty of this is that frog that it's got managed to capture. And so I suppose there isn't a vast amount of action in this picture as it is at this exact moment, but there was a fair bit of action to get that frog, and there's going to be a fair bit of action when it swallows it as well. And it's a lovely picture and good light, nice position in the frame. Hard really not to give it. I think I will give that a 5.
Yeah, I agree. It's a lovely image. From my point of view, I feel it's, you know, it's got a lot going on. There's a lot of distractions with the reeds and grasses and things around the heron in the background, but it is a nice image, and it's sort of interest with the frog there in the picture. But I scored this one 4.5. Yeah, also I'm going to start this one. Red grouse in flight, assumably not August the 12th, but you know, if it was, then you're lucky to get a picture in time. But yeah, an interesting picture. You don't see many pictures of grouse in flight. It's difficult to catch an image of a grouse in flight. They fly fairly quickly and flash, and as such, the photographer's caught this. It looks like it's flying slightly away from us, but I like the habitat in the background, the sort of moorland habitat. Nice detail on the bird. Again, I feel it's a little bit brighter, a little bit less exposure from my point of view would have added to the image, but it's a nice image, and scored it 4.5.
Yeah, that again, as a non-photographer and someone who doesn't understand a lot about the, not manipulation, but the changes that you can make to an image before presenting it. I would have given this, and have given it, a 5, because I think it is a great picture of a lovely bird. This one is, again, it's a lovely picture. It's an interesting shape. I just think the sky lets it down. It's sad. Had that been against a nice blue sky, it probably would have made the picture 10 times better. It's probably a little bit too small, actually, in the frame as well. So I give this one 3.5.
Yeah, I like this one a little bit more. I think I agree it's a tad small in the frame. A little larger in the frame would have helped, but I liked the lighting on the bird and the good sort of texture and that was brought out in the feathers and in the wing detail. I quite liked it, so I scored it 4.5. Yeah, I quite like this one, the blue-footed booby. Lovely image of the bird as it's sort of stooping down, sort of gannet style, to dive into the water and catch its prey. I like the fact that the bird's turned away from us, and you get a good view of the blue feet, and the shape of the bird all adds to the image. The uniformity of the background and the sea is very nice, and your focus is held on the bird that's in a good position in the frame with space to move into. Yeah, this image I liked a lot, and I scored it 5.
Yeah, and I agree entirely. There's everything is, I like everything about this picture, so that's 5. And this one is a really nice image of a hobby, and again, it's fortunate to have a perfect sky. If you actually look really closely at the image, it is not absolutely sharp in all respects, but again, it can't be terribly easy to get a bird like this in perfect, with every feather nice and sharp. So I'm going to score this 4.5.
Yeah, excellent image. Agree with much of what Colin says. For me, the sky on this one is a good example of a bit too bright for my liking. It's a bit of a sort of artificial blue sky, but I like the contrast of the bird and the lighting on the bird. I feel it's, again, just turning its head slightly away as well. So I scored this one 4. Yeah, this was a very nice image, a lovely picture of a fulmar, hanging on the breeze at the cliff top, I assume. Beautiful side view, and lighting very muted, and the background very sympathetic to the lighting on the bird. I'm particularly impressed by the depth of focus, getting it virtually wingtip to wingtip sharp, and the profile view really gives you a good image of the sort of tube nose and the beak assembly on the fulmar. I scored this one a 5.
Yeah, you can almost imagine yourself being there and looking at this bird, can't you, with that lovely background to it. It's almost exactly how I imagined a fulmar to be, and all that detail on it. So I've given this a 5. And then this lovely sanderling, again, a really nice image, and doing exactly what we know sanderlings do, running along the very edge of the water, just staying out from keeping its feet dry. Lovely. It's again, it shows every detail of the feathering, so, and perfectly sharp, the whole picture. I'll give this 4.5.
You're thinking about that, Colin. It is a lovely image of the sanderlings. It's doing what they do. It's sort of running along the shoreline with the incoming tide and behind it. I like the sort of action with the foot up and the toes splayed. I quite like the fact it's sort of in between winter and summer plumage. It's coming into sort of summer plumage, but I see a lot of pictures of sanderlings, and it's a good example, but it's a little bit central for me, so I'm going to score it 4. Yeah, another image of some swans, a good action picture of this one. A lot going on, a lot of water droplets and a very bright light on the bird, but it's a nice image, and I like the framing. I don't mind the fact that there's more space behind it than in front of the bird. I think it works well because all the water droplets add to the picture, and your eye hones in on the beak and the head of the swan, and I like this as an image, and scored it 4.5.
Yeah, and this goes back really to me, you know, my first impression wasn't that I liked it a lot, and I had to study it a lot to like it. So I go back to would I want it on my wall? It would not capture my attention like many of the other pictures immediately. So I would give that 4. And this group of flock of shoveler is to my mind fabulous. Pretty well every bird is in perfect focus against what looks like a pretty natural blue sky, and I think, you know, to get them so nice and tightly packed like that in such a lovely arrow shape, I gave this 5.
Yeah, I agree with everything there. Beautiful shape on the flock of birds, good space around them, and as I mentioned on the avocets earlier, you know, you've got a group of birds within the frame without any cut off front and back. The sky does look very natural. The lighting on the birds is excellent, and I also really enjoyed this image and gave it a 5.
Right, so.
Do you remember what to do yet?
Oh yes. It's just that, what am I looking for now?
Top folder on the right hand side. Oh no, you've gone through. Go back.
Yeah, that one, flight natural winners, that's it.
Go back to flight.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
it. Yeah, okay, brilliant.
You've got a minute.
I've got 1 minute. We've got 1 minute. So let's just run through them very quickly.
Yeah.
You can see how difficult it is, you know, how do you pick out of such an array of brilliant photographs?
It's difficult.
I've used half the minute already. So the I'll have first go.
Well, then you have first.
I like this one a lot.
Yeah.
I actually like this one a lot.
Yeah.
I like this one a lot.
You like them all a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, if I were picking a winner and runner up, they would be from this one and the shoveler.
Yeah. Yeah, the shoveler, I agree with wholeheartedly. I think the shoveler image is an excellent image, so I would probably have that as my favourite.
Okay, so that's the winner.
Yeah. Second place, I mean, they're all good images. I mean, I'd happily go with any of the other four. So, I mean, if you prefer the blue-footed booby, Colin, I'd happily go with that. I like the hummingbird, but I like I like all the other four. They're all good images, but
Yeah,
I'd go with any of the other four as the runner-up. And the booby is a lovely image. It's very striking. So.
okay, and it's real flight and action, that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd be happy with that.
Okay, so that's the runner-up.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's break.
Right,
Okay,
it's time for
so we're
break.
going to stop and have a drink.
We are, but only briefly.
Only briefly, because we're talking too much, Andy.
Yeah.
I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'll be back in 5. Okay.
We normally take a 10-minute break, but in the circumstances, we've got one more category to go, but then we have to choose the overall winner. So we will break for 5 minutes maximum. Right, thank you for rushing back, and I'll pass it back to Colin for the last part of the session.
Okay, so this was birds in Berkshire.
Yeah.
The second, are you with us, Andy?
I am indeed, yes.
Okay, you didn't go off to sleep then?
No, I've visited the bathroom, let the dog out for a wee, and put my 10-year-old to bed. So I've had a productive 5 minutes.
Right. Okay, everyone's screaming at me. We're going too slowly. So I'm going to start with this one, Firecrest.
Yeah.
Again, as all of them are, it's a lovely image. It's perfectly, you can see every feather on the bird. It just doesn't, well, it shows reasonably well on the big screen. But I think this is, it's just not, it doesn't work for me. There's too much around the bird, and it's not a particularly attractive perch. So I gave this 4.
Yeah, I think I agree with most of those comments. Lovely bird and a beautiful bird. It's a small bird, but it is a little bit small in the frame and a bit central in the frame. I think it's just a bit too sort of in the middle. I like the diagonal of the perch, but as Colin said, the perch is a little bit bland and the bird is a little bit small and a bit central. So I'd give that a 4 as well. Yep, this is a, sorry, so it just flew into my face. A lovely image of a goosander standing up in the water, stretching its wings and making a nice composition. I like the sort of shape the wings make, but as such, because we're looking slightly from behind the bird, its head is facing slightly away from us, and as such, not picking up the same degree of light. If its head were turned slightly to its left and towards us, it would be more in profile and there'd be better light on the bill and the front of the head. As such, it's a nice image. It's a bit of a dull day, bit of a grey sort of background to the image, but a nice capture. 4.
Yes, I will give it the same. Right, black-necked grebe, what a picturesque bird this is. So again, it's lovely, and the photographer has managed to get down nice and low and get this picture, the bird in, again, perfectly, again, showing every feather, all in perfect focus. And I like the position of the bird in the frame as well. So I gave this 5.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful image, beautiful detail, a nice low angle. And I think the lighting works very well with you on this day. I think, you know, a blue sky reflection would have detracted from the bird. The sort of very pale surround with a lovely reflection and the calmness on the water. It really adds something to an excellent image. 5. Yep, picture a dunnock sitting atop a gorse or furze bush and in full song. A nice image. I like the position in the frame, the space in front of it. I like the fact that it's in full song. Good diffused background, but processing wise or image wise, just looks a little bit too bright, and the color looks slightly off to me, a little bit too sort of cyan or blue for my liking, but a good image, and I scored this one 4.
I can't add anything to that, so I scored it 4 as well. This was one of I think a few maybe, or a couple of buff-bellied pipit images. Again, nothing wrong with this image at all, in the sense that the bird is perfectly portrayed, and it's looking into the image, or there's a bit of space to the left, which is good. But I felt all the colour of the background spoiled this one a bit, as the yellow, generally the mosses and so on were not helping the picture of the bird, which is fairly plain, and it needs to be brought out a little bit more and not be too confused but with its background. So I gave this 4.
Yeah, very similar comments on the background. There's a lot of bright areas and distractions that draw you away from a nicely photographed bird. I like the action with the foot up, but because of the comments Colin's made, I concur and gave it a 4.
Colin, can you just go back one? I think you missed one out.
Did I?
No, Dunnock was the previous one. Blackneck Grebe was the one before that.
Okay.
And then the heron picture comes up. Yeah, that's it. So that lovely image of a heron, particularly like it on the ice, and the lighting is very good. The ice gives you that instant sort of cool and cold winter feel to the picture. But there's some nice sort of warm lighting on the heron itself, like the letterbox effect. It's always a shame you've got the reeds in the background. If you could have had a slightly higher position to take the picture from and just have the ice in the background, it would have been a real winner. As it is, it's a great image, 4.5.
Yeah, I guess I will have to give it the same. This is the type of picture, again, that I wouldn't mind having on my wall. It's a very attractive image, and I like that one a lot. But 4.5, I think, having regard to the competition. Yeah, okay, well, these are lovely birds, aren't they? I mean, long-tailed tits are so attractive. And that bird, again, is in perfect focus, and it's on a perch. It makes a really nice picture, except for that one on the left that really does detract from it. So it's a shame. I think I'd only have to give this 3.5.
Yeah, similar comments. Beautiful photograph, beautiful feather detail and lighting. The darker stem in the background does detract from the image. If that wasn't there and the background was all that sort of lovely diffused background, it would have been a stronger image. Also, it's a little bit central again, a little bit more space to the left and below would have improved it. But it's a lovely image, and I'll give it a 4. Yeah, another picture of a buff-bellied pipit, and if you compare it from the one a couple of images ago, I think this image works much better than the previous one. There's less distraction. The mosses and the background are far less distracting than the previous image. The more muted light brings out the sort of buff-bellied pipit more, and it really sort of holds your attention. It's a lovely image, great detail, good composition with space in front of the bird, and I gave this a 5.
I also gave it a 5.
Yeah.
This is nice. Nice way to show a garden bird. The blackcap, an interesting picture. I'm not sure it's quite as good as the others. and I'm not, somehow the position of the bird on the image doesn't look quite right to me. Whether it should be a tiny bit lower, I'm not sure, the whole thing, but it's nice, but I gave it 4.
Yeah, I think I concur with that. It's good to show birds on garden feeders because that's where you often see them. But I think it gets lost a little bit in the feeder itself. It doesn't sort of stand out enough, and I feel the colour just not quite right again. I wasn't overly taken by this one. I gave it 3.5. Yeah. Yeah, grasshopper warbler, nice bird and a difficult bird to photograph. Nice to see them. I took some images of grasshopper warblers in Berkshire actually last year, and got some really nice images. This one I feel is a little bit much going on. Very bright on the perch, particularly at the bottom of the image and underneath the bird, that sort of pulls your eye to that bright area. And some of the very bright greens of the vegetation, the willow, catching in the light above the bird, all sort of pull my eye away from the beauty of the bird. So I gave this a 3.5.
Yeah, I like this one a bit more than that, so I gave this 4.
Fair enough.
And then our dear old friend the nightingale, hopefully coming back soon. This one, again, perfect capture of the bird, not a bad position in the frame, but I feel the leaves, the bramble, and the rather white background detracts from it. It's a good picture of a nightingale, a really good picture of a nightingale. So 4.5.
Yeah, I quite like this. I think the very white background is a bit of a shame, and detracts slightly from the image, but it is a nice image of a nightingale. It's another bird like the grasshopper warbler that's difficult to get out in the open. I mean, the bramble leaves are a bit distracting, but most of the pictures of a nightingale I've got, the bramble leaves are in front of it, so it's better than that at least. So I think I'll go 4.5 as well. Yeah, nice image of a sort of collection of coots, of 4 coots having a bit of a sort of territorial scrap, and it's quite a nice image. The 3 that you can see in better detail on the right of the image work very well. All the heads are in good positions. There's a good sort of interaction between the birds, and it makes a nice image. A lot of space around it, letterbox the image and lose some of the top and the bottom that don't sort of add to the image would have helped. But it's a nice action shot, 4.5.
Yeah, I mean, this would have been great in flight and action as well, wouldn't it? It would fit very nicely in that part. I'm going to score this the same, 4.5. And lovely picture of a nuthatch. We had quite a few nuthatches submitted. The colour, I don't know. I think maybe it's slightly saturated too much. I don't know a vast amount about this, but all the nuthatches that I see and handle are slightly less bluer than this. It's lovely and clear. I do like the way it's typical of a nuthatch to be turning sideways and its head showing like that. The black line through the eye looks really nice. It's a pretty picture. I think I can already say what Andy will say, which is that the leaves on the left-hand side tend to be a bit of a distraction. I gave this 4.5.
Yeah, I absolutely. You know me too well. The leaves on the left are a distraction to me. I'd lose those completely and concentrate on the bird. But I think I agree. It's a little bit oversaturated, and the image is a bit grainy, a bit noisy, digital noise coming into the background of the image, which I feel detracts a little bit. So I gave it a 4.
Yeah, you're a bit unlucky in the audience because you can't see the fine detail on that
Yeah,
screen.
there's good
So,
detail, but a bit grainy. Anyway, we move on to the grey wagtail. Nice image of a grey wagtail. Female doing what it is, or moving down the stick towards the water, so it's a good sort of habitat shot. And I like the position in the frame. I like the sort of diagonal of the perch coming down and the diagonal of the bird against the sort of darker water in the background. Good lighting, good feather detail again, and I gave this one a 4.5.
yeah, I gave this one a 4. This was submitted as a cattle egret, but it looks rather like a little egret to me. But,
Yeah.
yeah, this, I mean, it's actually, it's a bit like that heron was, you know, the with all that dark background.
Yeah.
Again, I wouldn't mind this picture on one of my walls in the right place. Very pretty. I love those leaves up on the right hand side, and I love the reflection. So it really is a cracking image, but I think I'm going to have to give it 4.5.
Yep, I think I agree with everything you said. Really good detail in the bird and good detail in the white feathers. Yeah, shame it misidentified, but you know, neither here nor there. It's a lovely picture. The leaves in front of it and just above its head kind of take away from me. I think if it was a completely black background, a very contrasty, stark image, it would work better. But as it is, I think I'd agree with 4.5. Yeah, this was a lovely image. It caught my eye when we were going through them. The tawny owl sort of roosting in the hollow tree. Really natural looking image and shows the camouflage well. You could nitpick a little bit about that bit of blue sky bottom right hand corner. Maybe just crop it out a little bit, but it's a lovely image and really, you know, takes me into the woods and catches my attention. So I gave this a 5.
Yes, I did too. I mean, I did 5. Yeah, we get Andy and I discussed this one a bit. I mean, the bird is in perfect focus, and these water droplets. You know, so everyone captured. This is really quite a clever image. This, and so although the water is you know, green in colour, whereas normally we might like to see it blue, I think actually the green contrasts nicely with the blue of the bird. I gave, what did I give this one? I gave this one a 4.5.
Yeah. I very much like this one. It's a great sort of action shot as well, and would have done very well in the flight and action category. But the water droplets, the position of the wings, the bird coming up out of the water, really I found attractive, and I marked this one a 5.
That's it. Oh my goodness. That's it.
We've caught up with ourselves.
How do I get it back? See that one?
Yeah.
The little X
We've
top
got to
right.
get it from exit full screen.
That's it.
Yeah, I know. I find the maps. Okay. Right. Okay, Andy.
Yep.
You're the boss on this one. So we need a winner and a runner-up.
Yeah. I like that one a lot. I like that one a lot.
Here we go. Here we go.
It's gonna be like that again. I've already told you I like that one a lot. Oh, blimey, there's 3 to choose from, is there?
There's people voting for it.
I think my favourite two are the black-necked grebe and probably the tawny owl.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. Yeah, you've got to pick a winner.
Yeah, they're both very good, and they're both very good for different reasons. I think the tawny owl just invokes pleasant, happy feelings in me of being in the woods and capturing that sort of sight of the tawny owl. Oh, you shouldn't have done that. I'm going to go with the tawny owl first and the black-necked grebe second, but you might disagree, so we could have an argument here.
No, I'm happy with that actually, because my only feeling about the black-necked grebe was that I didn't like the white around it so much. I just thought that was a bit stark. I love the bird and the image of the bird, but there you are. So what do we do next?
Go back again.
Cup finalists. Okay, this is where everybody gets a chance to. This is the Gordon Langsbury Memorial Cup. So Gordon used to be our chairman. He was a very, very well-known photographer. His photos have appeared on postage stamps and all sorts. So when he passed, we created the cup.
We're going to do the online poll.
Right.
I edited it, saved it, and when I came back, it had logged me out and hasn't saved the edits.
Right, we'll have to read it again. Can't edit it. Just need to be able to tell the people on Zoom which photo is which when they come to vote on the poll. So we just need to. You want me to?
It was the tree.
Okay, so I will show you while we're sorting the poll out what you're choosing between. So these are the winners of the 3 sections, and what we want you to do is vote for the one that you think should win the cup. So your favourite of the 3 images. So we'll ask you to do that when we've got the poll operating. It may be next week. Are we all right?
Yeah. Okay. We won't launch the poll until you've shown all 3 photos a few times.
Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise, it will overlap the.
Yeah. Back and forwards.
So these are the 3 finalists that we want you to vote on. So did you want me to do on numbers or on?
Yeah, we'll do a vote here and at the same time launch the poll on
Okay, so this.
Do you want to put?
So, sorry, I don't know how this works on there, but can we ask for a vote now?
Yeah, let's do the vote here and then we'll launch the poll afterwards. Because if we launch the poll now, it will come up on the screen.
Oh right, okay.
So we'll do a vote
so
here.
All the people that like the tawny owl the most, put your hand up. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
11 for the owl.
11 for the owl. That was number 1. Number 2 is the shoveler. Ooh, we shouldn't be saying what this is because we might influence the poll.
Oh, that's true.
And the tree pie, Rufus tree pie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Right, okay.
Consider it launched.
Oh, okay, you've got the names up there then.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, if you would be kind enough to
we won't
cast
see
your
anything.
votes.
This is actually waiting for Elaine to vote, but we won't let her because
right, okay.
she just voted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll just give them a few minutes. You should be able to. Then you get the results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think how many. I need to get up to 14, don't I? Because everybody else is in the room.
Can I vote?
It would be
I've got the poll in front of me.
Actually, strictly it's only members that can vote.
Oh,
sorry.
I won't vote then.
Oh,
Hang on. I think we might have one more person to vote.
That'll be me because.
Yeah, there we go. Tell her, can you read the numbers off?
yeah, 6 for the tree pie, 3 for the shovelers, 5 for the tawny.
Ooh, that got a bit closer, didn't it? So I think the tawny owl still wins it.
Yeah, so that was 16 for the tawny owl, 14 for the tree pie, and 6 for the shoveler. So the
Wow, so
Rufus tree pie has it. So.
the tree pie has it.
Sorry, the tawny owl.
Right, well, then I can I ask you to put your hands together for the photographer of the tawny owl.
So Colin can now announce the runners up and if we go back again and just go to if you scroll down a bit more, better. We should do that down arrow. Down
This
arrow.
one?
There was down arrow. Down arrow.
Oh, that.
There's another one below there.
If there is time, is that not right?
Oh, no, that was something different. Oh, okay. No, let me just. Here we are. I want you to.
Oh, okay.
Right. So we're doing it in this order. What I was trying to do is get these photographs up. I've got a folder for them. So if we go to portrait winners.
Portrait winners, yep.
And then show the runner-up, which was the gannet.
Gannet.
I'll just show it.
Yeah, I'll just
Oh, you're doing it there.
yeah.
Okay, so right, is Sue Truby in the house?
She's on Zoom.
She's on Zoom. Well done, Sue. We've got an award for you here.
Yay.
Well done. And Ian Sylvester with the Rufus tree pie, is he here or no? He's on Zoom as well.
I think he's on Zoom as well.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Well done, Ian.
congratulations,
Excellent.
Ian.
And
We have your award here.
I'm struggling to see the mouse. This is one.
Flight and action winners. And if you find the blue-footed booby.
Blue footed, that's Judith Clark.
Well done.
Yeah.
Judith.
Oh,
Well
well
done.
done. Oh, it's the third one. Just last one.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that's the shoveler.
And Dave Rhymes, the shovelers.
Well done.
Yay.
Well done, Dave.
This is the runner-up.
The runner-up for the birds in Berkshire, Mike Smith. Where's
Yes.
Mike?
Oh, we've had three
Yeah.
people here.
Yeah.
This is the cup. Birds in Berkshire.
I'm getting plenty of exercise here, and Dave won the
And the cup.
and the cup.
And the cup.
Dave
Well
Rhymes
done.
again. Yeah, tawny owl and the cup. Well done. To take a picture of Dave getting the cup.
Do you like that
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, use my one.
Do you want to put? I'll put the light.
It takes a good photo.
Take your own photo.
Let me just give you some light.
Just use Dave's as well.
Okay.
Then you get
That's
that.
his first thing, put it.
Okay, so I don't know how
Smile.
we do this. Do we do? Oh
Well
no, we
done.
should be. That's it.
Well done. And I'll just take one of the
Make sure we get the background.
Right. That's brilliant.
Nice and kind.
Colin, that is time actually.
Okay, well done. Anyway.
Congratulations.
There's two pictures, so you can so.
Yeah, he wants his phone, mate.
Oh, sorry.
Shake the hand as well. Is that
Yeah,
one?
yeah, that is yours. So just explain what this is.
Right, okay, so we'd like to give an award to people that have done well in the competition by having a winner or a runner-up, but haven't done it before, so to encourage new entrants. And so these were the two that did very well, brilliantly. In fact, these beautiful pictures. Do I know who they are? Have I
No, you
just-
don't.
No? Okay.
So you and Andy need to choose between the two pictures that are there.
Oh, right, Andy,
Really?
still there. He's not.
I'm
not
still
happy,
here.
but- Yeah. So we need now to choose between this picture and another one, if I can find it. Here we are. Oh, right. Okay. So we need to choose a winner from these two.
That's a hard task.
For newcomers.
Well, they're not necessarily
Well, not
newcomers,
newcomers,
somebody who
but-
hasn't been placed in this
Yeah.
competition before.
That's a hard task, isn't it? So,
Yeah, it is.
um,
Touch. So, yeah, I mean, they're two great pictures.
cracking images.
Yeah. And I think I should leave this to you as our guest judge.
Thanks for that. Yeah, just what I wanted. I mean, it's very difficult. They're both cracking images, and for very different reasons. You know, I have to say, yeah, it's a great picture of a hummingbird. It's really well captured. It's a difficult subject because it's so small, but in some ways it's got a sort of almost, I know it's not, but almost artificial look. The background is so uniform and that it almost looks like an illustration against a plain background, whereas the burrowing owls picture has got more going on. It's got a more of an interaction with the subject. So I think I'd go with the burrowing owls if it was.
Okay, well, I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a really lovely picture.
Yeah.
And that picture was taken by Joanna Simonova. I hope I've got that wrong. I think she's a student member.
Oh,
Well
excellent.
done. A lot
Excellent.
of photographers got into the finals.
Okay, well done, Joanna. We'll open those in a minute. Okay, so I think that's about done, isn't it?
It is, that's
For the
about
evening,
done. Thank you very much
yeah,
indeed.
Thank you all.
Well, no, I really enjoyed that. It was brilliant. I should start by saying thank you to all the people who put photographs in. It's a fantastic number and excellent quality. Commiserations to the losers. I know how you feel, is all I can say. And many congratulations to all the winners. That was really, really excellent photos. Thank you.
Yeah.
And a big thank you for Jane for organising all this. I don't think she gets thanked enough for this. It's a lot of hard work. Thank you very much, Jane. Thank you to both, stop sharing by the way, to both our judges. So thank you very much indeed, Andy at a distance, and Colin close by. Not an easy task, as I mean, I kind of envy them in terms of having all chance to look at all those lovely photos, but I wouldn't want to do that personally. So many thanks indeed, both Colin and Andy. Thank you. And just one last thing to mention, thanks to the London Camera Exchange for the prizes. They sponsor this. If you want to buy any more, if you've got any optics in line that you're thinking of buying, please have a look at the shop in Reading. If you mention that you're a member of the club, then you should get, I hope, a discount. Right, we'll just finish off by saying that next meeting, quick reminder, is about Sri Lanka in 2 weeks' time, last one of the season. And do remember that if you want to go to the Kent weekend, to get in touch with Bob by the end of Friday. And thank you all for coming. Cheers. Good night.
Thank you.
This month, please, that's